Everybody, today is the second installment of a series in which I'm describing a change in architecture while moving an Angular application from Angular 1 to currently Angular 10. These are the 5 pillars in which my changes in architecture are going to happen. I showed you that in the previous webcast, and today I want to start talking about this last pillar, which I called Dream of Enterprise. Which is so Dream of Enterprise is really based on using a monorepo, which is going to actually bring different teams together, and that's going to become a reality through the use of Nrwl Nx. Let me allow me to talk a little bit about monorepo. Oops. So what is a monorepo? Basically, it's in a naive way, it's dumping, all the code from different teams and projects within the same organization instead of in one single repository, instead of using many repositories, which seems to actually go against best practices and best principles at the beginning when you actually hear about it, because you're coupling things instead of decoupling them. Now, who uses monorepos? It's been used by the big six for a while now, including Microsoft, and I think probably the clearest, the most known example is Google, which has most of its code in one single repository. Now, obviously, don't use monorepos in a naive way, as I just described before. So they actually have a lot of tools around it that allows them to take advantage of a monorepo. So what is Nx? Nx is a product that comes from a company called Nrwl. Nrwl was founded by an ex-Googler, Victor, which was the architect for the router, the Angular router, the Angular 2 router. And Nx is the extensible, they created these extensible dev tools for monorepos. So what Nx has brought to the table is they have made basically monorepos usable to the general population. I mean, obviously the general population of developers. I actually believe that Nx may be one of the biggest contributions that may have happened in the past and in the next 2 years in the development cycle. I believe it's going to have a big impact in a lot of organizations. Now, in order to put things into perspective and to visualize them a little bit, my use case is going to be focused basically on local governments. So whether that's municipalities, counties, cities, basically any organization which has a bunch of departments. Each department have its own developers, its own group of developers with different managers, each one of them, that they're actually not talking much to each other. Nevertheless, they actually happen to have a common client. That's in this case the constituent. If we talk about communicating with the citizens. So, what about creating an umbrella of applications under the same flag to be able to communicate with the citizen, whether he wants to communicate with the water and sewer department, with the property appraiser, or with the transportation department. And what can you gain, from the use of monorepos? The use of monorepos starts to break those walls, those barriers that happens between these different departments and these different teams. And you actually, by putting all these developers, into a single monorepo, now they're sharing what their common language is, which at the end of the day is their code. And you start to be able to do things like shaping the vision for all these developers. Sharing of code starts to happen. People is able to see what others are doing in a more natural way, because they already are there. They already have it. Because of that single vision and the sharing of code, sharing of components, it starts to happen. Developer mobility, where actually developers it's easier for the organization to move developers around because they actually have been educated on the same stack. on the same set of tools, not so much on the same set of tasks stack, because actually you can, in this case, it's fairly easy to use Angular or React, both in the same monorepo. And then there is a single set of dependencies. Now I put a star on the single set of dependencies because I actually believe that's actually something that you lose when you're using monorepos. You lose basically the independence of the development cycle for your team, because now everybody has to move at the same time in a single set of dependencies and with a single set of dependencies. And I think that's something that you have to be very aware from the get-go. I've read different threads in which, and that's one of the first questions I think that people ask: how do they actually separate and have different applications move with different dependencies? And I believe there are perhaps possibilities or to do so, but I don't think that is. I think you're missing the point if you go that direction. You have to embrace the fact that there is going to be a single set of applications, and in a sense take advantage of it. Take advantage of the fact that you're going to move it, that everybody is working under the same base, and that you're going to be able to force people a little bit also to move forward, to move to the future, to move to the next set of tools and so on that your organization may decide as a whole. All right. So let's go ahead and create now a monorepo. All right. Okay. So you need Node, and let me check the version of Node that I have. So I'm running 12.9. The latest version of Node is 14.15. I used to manage my Node versions npm. So you can see here is for 12.9. I have 14.15 already downloaded. I'm going to make it I'm going to use that guy. So npm use 14. Now it tells me right here I'm using version 14.15, and the npm version is 6.14. The next thing I need is the Angular, the Nx CLI, which installed it globally. I already installed it, but obviously all you have to do is the npm install globally and Nx, and that will do it. Since I already have it installed, I want to check on what the version of Nx that I'm using. So npm list global Nx, and it tells me right here that it's version 10.3.3. So let me change my directory to projects experiments Nx, and let me create a monorepo. So npx, so that's the executable running executable binaries. Npx create Nx workspace, and the name of the workspace that I want to create. So the workspace, what is the meaning of workspace? Workspace is the monorepo that you're going to create. I said that I'm going to use as a use case a city. I'm going to create a city, fictitious city, so city of Vansar, and I'm going to let it do its thing. It's going to ask me a couple questions about if I want to, what kind of workspace I want to start with. I'm just going to go with the empty. I'm going the CLI. It allows you to go with an Angular CLI. I'm going to keep going with the Nx CLI, and I'm not going to use right now the Nx cloud, which probably is a good thing to do when you're in production, when you're running, well, not when you're in production, but when you're running a lot of different applications, a lot of different libraries. So now the monorepo has been created. It's just a skeleton. Let me show you. I use WebStorm. So projects, experiments, city. All right. So here is my here is the monorepo that I just created. Let me highlight a couple things. One is this to it already gives you a skeleton that starts to guide you in a certain direction. So we have the apps and the libs. These are where our different applications that are going to live within this monorepo, and these are the different libraries. So it's already encouraging you. They're empty, but they're already encouraging you to use the libraries, which in a sense starts to foster the idea of this reusability of components, which again for UI development, it really, I mean, it was good. I mean, it was a great idea in theory, but I didn't know personally. I didn't know how to bring it to life, and I think this totally opened really NX opened the door for me to do things like that. The other two things is your JSON package, and this is the reason why we're saying that it's one single set of dependencies. Right now they're here, right? The dependencies that we're using, but as you can see, it's at the root level. So all the libraries, all the packages, all the applications, I'm sorry, using this set of libraries. And then the NX JSON, the NX JSON is going to give you these dependencies, or this is going to give you this mapping of the of all of your applications, your libraries, your relationships among them, the tagging that you may apply to different applications and to different libraries. So it will grow as we create applications, as we create libraries within the monorepo. Other things that the Angular CLI brings us is the Angular CLI is built on plugins. So you can ask for commands, and you can install different plugins, different schematics. So you can do, for example, NX list, and it will tell you. I'm sorry. Let me move to the directory. So video star and NX list. Right. So if you scroll up a little bit. So right now it only comes with a single plugin that has been installed. These are all the other Nrwl plugins that are available to you, and we will install some of them. And then there is a bunch of other community approved community plugins. So for now, I think that's enough. I will create a few applications and libraries in the next webcasts. Thank you.